Welcome back to Crochet Creations and another Crocheting with Christi video. So this one is going to be using just yarn from the Dollar Tree. I picked up 2 or 3 or 4 of each one of these colors, and I said, okay, let's do something with them. So I have, I think, 4 or 5 of this white, and this is the super soft Crafter's Square. So it is the 4, and it came in nice pastel colors. So here is a blue. I think I got only 2 of the blue though, and they are 109 yards each. So we'll see how far we get with what we're going to do with it, because I only, like I said, I only have 2 blue, I believe. Then I have like 4 of the violet color. I don't even know if they say the colors on them. They probably don't. They have lot numbers and color numbers. But again, 100% acrylic yarn. Super soft. Really soft. Some of them are wound a little bit tighter than others, like this one. And so it feels like it's a little not as soft as this one, but it is. It really is. And so what I thought we would do is, and I got this basket there too. They came in a couple of sizes. I thought this was perfect to just put them in. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out a bunch out of the green, because I think my plan is to start with the green color. So your white color is going to go in between the other colors. So you basically are going to start with color A, then you're going to use the white, then you're going to go to your second color, which my second color is going to be blue, and you're going to go back to the white. And then my third color is going to be violet, and then go back to the white. So if we were to repeat the colorways, I'm hoping that I will have enough of the blue. So we'll see. Now, what I did the other day on the live was I did a pattern from Ravelry. And this pattern calls for several colors, and you never repeat the colors. So their pattern had like peach and purple and blue and a lighter blue, and then a green and a pink. Well, I'm not going to use those colors. I'm just going to use these 3 colors. So I'm going to repeat mine so that it would, like if they had 6 colors, I would only have 3, and I would repeat it. So that's my choice. What this is a 12 star pointed, 12 star ripple, and you can find the pattern free on Ravelry, and I will link it below. And I thought, well, I will start it out, and I will highlight some of the things about the pattern that you might want to note. So I'm going to put my yarns back in my basket and only use the green for right now. And we're going to start out with this green and do the first section. until we change it back, change to the white. Now, a couple of the notes I underlined here. The fan's blowing, so it's blowing my yarn around. So now this basket will be like my project bag. And like I said, I got everything at the dollar store. The only thing I didn't get at the dollar store was the hook, and I'm using a 7 because that's my favorite hook to use for these kind of things. They are telling you to use an H, which is very close to a 7. Okay, so now if we look at the pattern, it says that we're going to read what stitches are used, and the gauge is 15 stitches equals 8 rows and 4 inches in double crochet across. All right, so 15 stitches or 8 rows equals 4 inches in double crochet. All right, so let's move this basket over here. See if we can combat the fan. All right, so basically, I don't want to leave this here. I'm going to put it up. But what I wanted to make sure that you noticed is, okay, again, make yourself a little graph. Make the colors match the pattern. Mine, it starts with green, and there A is the starting color. My second color will be blue. My third color will be violet, so I put them A, B, C. But my white is G, and theirs also is G. So that way, when I'm reading the pattern and it says to use A, B, C, I will look up and I'll know what I had chosen. And when it says to use G, I won't be surprised because I also put G as my white. So in the next section, it tells you it tells you the color scheme and what they are telling you about the pattern. So it tells you to continue working in the rounds in the pattern as established, and you always work 1 round with the small shell, which is the V-stitch, double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and 2 rounds with the large shell, which is 2 doubles, chain 2, 2 doubles. Now when I was doing the washcloth, I did not read that because it was later on in the pattern. So usually you want to read the whole entire pattern before you go to start a big project. It also says you will work 5 rounds of each color and then 1 round of white. The white row will always be a small shell round. Then 5 rounds of the next color, 1 round of white, and so on. So you will continue on repeating rounds 8 through 13 with the number of double crochet increases in each large shell round between the chain 2 spaces until the last round of rainbow colors is worked. Then you will do the final round in white, working a large shell round. This is the only white round that will be in the large shell round. So again, that is probably a good idea to do 1 row of single or the small shell and then 2 rounds of the large shell, because you're going to be taking away some of that extra ripple that doing an increase every round will probably give you. So if we start out with our green color, now the fan really wants to help me. And again, I'm going to do it my way. So probably we're going to chain 4 here. And I'm not going to do a whole entire tutorial here. I'm just going to have fun together. And so slip stitch and make a ring and chain 1. And then do 12 doubles into your ring. over the top of your tail. See how that fan is just blowing that? 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then we will find our first stitch and just slip stitch into the top of it, and that'll be 12 doubles for your first round. And then we're going to chain 1 and do 2 doubles in each around for row 2. So that'll leave you with 24 doubles. Dad is mowing the lawn, and I need to be out on the deck and watch him, but every now and again I have to bark and tell Mom that I want to come in and check to see if she's okay. And then 2 seconds later, I want to go back out on the deck again to make sure that Dad is still out there, because if he leaves me without giving me a treat before he goes to the store, that would be the end of my day. It would just be horrible. So I have to make sure that I'm watching both of you in case either one of you decides to open up that pantry and find out that you need to give me a treat, because every now and again Izzy is just demanding like that. If you have a doxy, is your doxy demanding? Because I believe they all are. Oh my gosh, yeah, I love to tell stories while I'm crocheting on these videos. This is just amazing how a little dog can completely control a household so easily. Now you want to have 24 doubles and slip stitch right into the top of your first double. And that is how I do mine. She says to use a chain 2 as your first double in each stitch. I'm not going to. I'm going to chain 1 on my 3rd row, and I'm going to double crochet right into that stitch, and then chain 2, because we are doing the first shell round, and that shell is a small shell. So we're going to do 12 small shells. So there's your first, and you're going to skip. See, I've got to get rid of that tail before I go out of my mind. I have to do that. It's something that I need to do, so I do it. And I don't know why I need to, but it's always like in my way, and it drives me nuts. So I want it gone. So I usually go around the whole entire circle again backwards and get rid of my tail on just about everything that is done in the round, and then cut that and get it out of here. Okay, so we are on our V-stitch row, or our small, we're going to call that small shell like she does, and you're going to skip the next stitch, and we're going to go into the next with another small shell, which is double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and we're going to do that 12 times around, for a total of 12 times around. I'm supposed to be chaining 2. I'm going to go back, and we're chaining 2 in between. That's round 3, yes. This is round number 3. Skip the next stitch and double, chain 2, and double. Skip the next stitch and double, I did speed up just a hair, just to get through the row. And now number 12. And you, if you're following the pattern, are going to see why the changes are different. She had you chain 2. So at this point, you would have a chain 2 waiting for you, and you would double in the same as your first chain 2, and then you would chain 2 again and slip stitch in your first chain 2. I don't need to do that because I went ahead with a chain 1 and a double. And so mine is completely done, and I'm going to slip stitch over to my chain 2 space. And whether or not I do it the right way or the wrong way, or she does it the right way or the wrong way, doesn't matter. It's all in what way you want to do it. So your slip stitch to your chain 2 space is the same, and then you're going to work your first large shell. And I'm going to do mine by doing my large shell right in the chain 2 space with 2 doubles instead of a chain 2 and a double, chain 2 for the middle, and then 2 more doubles. So there's your first large large shell. And you're going to continue to put a large shell in each of the chain 2 spaces around, keeping the count to 12. So all your points will be 12 from now on throughout the blanket. We will just be adding our legs to each of these points as we go. So I will meet you back around in just a moment when after I let the dog back in. Okay, I let the dog in. Let's see how long that lasts. I got to the end of my round 4, and now I'm going to slip stitch in my first large double crochet. And then it tells you to slip stitch once and start. I am going to slip stitch twice and start in the top of the ripple. So I'm going to chain 1 and do a large shell. Now this beginning part with the beginning color actually is 6 rows. So we're doing a large shell. So a large shell. So there's 2 doubles, chain 2, and then 2 doubles. And then is this row 5? Row 5. Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be doing a double in the very next stitch. Now that you might have to move it over a little to see it, but there will be a double there. Now we're going to be skipping 2 doubles, so that's the bottom of the ripple. So skip over 2 and then a double in the next. So see how we have increased. Then a double in the next to start your next shell, and 2 chains, and then double, double. and then we want another double right in the very next before we skip 2. Skip 2, double in the next. So again, you're going to have 3 on each side because you're going to use 1. I'm going to end up with 1 over here before I join, because I didn't do that first one. But either way, like I said, we're only talking about the pattern. We're not doing it, we're not trying to teach it to you. I'm just doing it with you. Don't forget that double. It does it with the 4 medium yarn. This tends to bulk right up and hide that stitch. Skip 2, jump over here, and you're not adding any more star points. You're keeping the same. You're just adding a stitch, and then at the bottom you're subtracting. So you should still stay flat. And then your 1 on that side. Skip 2, 1 on this side. And then your large shell again. Skip 2, this one on the right, that one on the left. Skip 2. Now, row number 6 does not say change color. I remember them saying that 5 rows was your pattern and then you changed color. Well, apparently row 6 is still in the same color you started with. So if we skip to row 6 and talk about it, you're going to slip stitch till you get, well, in the pattern it says slip stitch 1 and then chain 2, and that chain 2 will be your next double. It'll be counted as a double. I am going to slip stitch to my peak, and I'm going to start with a double. In that first double will be in my large shell, and that is the same way as we did round 5. So your round 6 is the same as round 5, only you will have 2 legs in between. So if you look at, say you're on round 5, you're going to have 1 extra leg here and then your shell. When we're on row 6, we're going to have 1 here, 1 here, and then we're going to skip these 2. So you're going to have 1 extra. So you'll have 4 doubles when you look at the peaks. So I will meet you back after row 6, and we will join in on our white row. Meet you back. Okay, welcome back. So this is the end of round number 6. I started mine with a double crochet in the designated spot where you would have had a chain 2. So that's the only difference. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch and finish that round. Now you're told to change color. So we're going to change color. This is where the pattern will make sense. The first 6 are just what they are, those 6. So we're going to start with the white for the very first time. The white goes in between your two colors, and you're going to do 5 rows of each of your colors. So if you start let's say we start here with, well, it says to using color G, slip stitch into the next stitch. Well, that means right here. So that stitch will be your skip stitch. And then if you do that, you're going to slip stitch into the next one right next to your, where you cut it. And then I chain one and do a double. So now your white row will be double crochet in the next two, and then a small shell. Every time you do white row, you're going to do a small shell, which is a double, chain two, and a double. That is what the white row is going to be. And then you will change color, and you will do 5 rows of your color. But they are saying to do 1 row of small shell and 2 rows of large. So if you think about this a minute, every time you come around to a white row, it'll be the 3rd row in the series. So it makes it easier than it sounds. So when I change color, I'll do 2 doubles, I'll do 2 large rows, large shell rows, and then I'll do a single or a small shell row. Then I'll do 2 double or a large shell row, and then I'll have a white row. So every 3rd row will be a small shell row. And it happens to coincide with your white row. So all you have to do now is do a white row, and then change color, do 5 rows, meaning 2 large shell rows, a small shell row, and 2 large shell rows. That'll be your color. Mine is going to be blue. Then 1 row of white, which will be a small shell row. And that's the whole pattern until you get to the last row, and your last row will be white. So I'm going to meet you back sometime around the end of my 3rd color, and we will see how this blanket is looking at that time. And then I'll probably upload the video. So this will be a little while before you see it, but I will save these videos and put them all together, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Well, hello, welcome back. So these were the yarns I was using for this blanket, and it is the Rainbow Ripple, and I haven't been taping videos since row number 6, somewhere in there. So here are the colors. I ran out of blue. This is my last skein of blue, so I'm going to have to change my color scheme. But I have a huge update to show you. So we're going to move this. Now, I don't know if I can get a lot of this on this tabletop, so we'll see how much you end up seeing. Oh, whatever. It's what it is. So when I started, I was with the green in the middle. And then I had a row of white, and I went to the blue, and I did 5 rows of blue. Then I did a row of white, and then I did 5 rows of the purple. And then I did a row of white and 5 rows of the green. Now we're going to have to change our numbers of rows because I am out of blue. I am only going to be able to do 2 rows of blue, and then I'm going to have to change color. So your outside of my blanket is going to be different. And see, now if we do this all different like this, none of the blankets will come out exactly the same. But I think these colors from the Dollar Tree just popped. I think this is really nice. So I'm doing an update, and I will come back after I finish 2 rows each of the next colors, of each colors again. And then I will finish the video. So this is what I'm doing when there's no other way to do this. I guess, is just do pieces of videos and then keep them and put them all together. So that's what I'm doing. I'll talk to you again when I finish the blanket. Bye for now. Hi, welcome back. All right, so we have about 40 inches across now. I am not completely done, so I'm showing you that I did 5 rows of green, white row, 5 rows of blue, then 5 rows of purple. When you get to the next repeat, I started with the blue and decided that I was out of blue. I couldn't find any more. So I went ahead and did 3 rows and then 3 rows of purple. So when I get to the 3 rows of green on the end, I decided to change it up a little. So I went ahead and added in purple and green for the last row to give it that little bit of, I don't know, little pizzazz. So when I do this, I've been alternating between the 2 colors. So let's see if I can get this back to where I am. So I'm on the last peak here. 1 peak left to go. And I'm right here. So I thought I'll do a couple stitches so that you can see how I get it like that. And go ahead and do a couple here. So what I've been doing is keeping the purple in the back and the green in the front. But you can do it whatever way. But if you do that, if you keep these 2 from crossing, then your yarn doesn't get crossed and all messed up. But I have been going right over the top of the other color and then bringing the new one through before you finish that stitch. Then I pull, tug just a little, and then go ahead over the other color and then tug just a little, just to flatten it out a little. Each stitch I do that. And you just stay in pattern every other color. So when you get to your bottom of your star, you're going to skip 1 on each side the same way you would have. Whoops, see, now that purple goes in the back. It is tedious. It's taken me several days to do this border because I've been doing 1 or 2 peaks a day and then going, to bed and going to the next day. So this is where I'm skipping 2. Skip 1 on the right, skip 1 on the right, left, go all the way across there and tug it down just a hair. And you will have that crossover just nicely. And then you'll go back up to the top. When you get to the top, what I did on the last row was I went ahead and did 4 stitches in the top, changing colors each stitch. So my holes are now filled in at the top. So that's how I'm finishing it up. I thought this was kind of cool. Now I will have enough to do a hat in this colorway, but I will not have any blue. So I thought, well, what I'll probably do is I'll keep watching for a blue that matches. And if I put it in the hat, there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to notice. But this was Dollar Tree yarn that I collected a few at a time. and then kept collecting them till I had enough to start something. I think I'm going to have enough for a lovey too, so I was thinking maybe a lavender or purple rabbit to go with this one. So thank you for joining me for this great pattern. Maybe I can show you a last finished holding it up photo or something at the very end of this. If it's here, it's here. If it's not, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. I'll talk to y'all later. Take a moment out of each day and be creative. Okay, so here's the finished blanket. I said I would try and get you a nice little view of the whole entire blanket. And I laid it on a reclining chair. So you're going to see that it is done. It's about 42 inches across now. So it's a generous size. This is lovely. There you go. Now I'll just give you a peek of my little eagle and the table that it is. There you go. Yeah, it's that doily is beautiful. And it is not one that I did, believe it or not. Okay, well, talk to y'all later.